The alleged reign of terror of now suspended acting EMPD police chief, that is Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, is one characterized by horror stories of the alleged murder of a shop owner in an extortion gone wrong and the disposal of his body, a purported agreement between EMPD and the private security firm of Vusimuzi Matlala in an alleged scheme which saw the registration of Matlala's vehicles under the municipality, as well as an alleged blatant disregard for the rule of law. Despite the alleged criminality that had engulfed the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, the shield for Brigadier Mkhwanazi stood strong and left many casualties along the way, as some went to great lengths to protect, allegedly, Mkhwanazi and subsequently allowed alleged rogue elements in uniform to thrive in the municipality, the region and beyond. I'm Kani Mapanga and this is the Madlanga Wrap.
There is a particular proximity that he had noticed and everybody knew between Mkhwanazi and Mashazi. And he didn't want to have a situation wherein there will be a backlash from Mashazi, from Dr. Mashazi, if he just went ahead and investigated Mkhwanazi and even suspended him. You would not have a direct link, functional link between Mashazi and Mkhwanazi. However, there was this informal, I'll call it an informal link, that people knew.
What initially began as a curious inquiry into alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Matlala's alleged undue influence on the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, following a series of social media posts by Mama Cat, spiraled into a web of revelations which pointed to a dark cloud of crime that has the unit on a path of destruction. It started with a media query that revealed that private security vehicles were registered under the city's fleet and given blue lights allegedly by Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. A discovery Brigadier Mkhwanazi would allegedly try and cover up by purportedly creating an unlawful agreement between the EMPD and the CAT VIP protection services.
There is no working relationship, let alone an endless one. He had his working relationship, not the municipality, not the EMPD. What became clear in terms of the investigation is that indeed there was some working relationship, but it's not a working relationship of the municipality with CAT VIP. It is not the working relationship of EMPD with CAT VIP. It is a working relationship that he has constructed, outside of regulatory framework, outside of the policies of the municipality, outside of legislation. He constructed that relationship.
Attempts to probe the matter internally and hold Mkhwanazi accountable through a suspension would be foiled allegedly by the former city manager, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, who would effectively render Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi untouchable, leading to questions from the Commission's bench to ascertain the motivation behind this alleged protection. While the answer is not yet definitively clear, the Commission was furnished with a December 2023 video that showed Brigadier Mkhwanazi declaring that he would die for and take a bullet for Mashazi. This is after he was shielded from accountability amid a slew of allegations.
We will die for you. Thank you so much. Yes. DJ, you want the
As the evidence progressed, the Commission would later learn that the alleged criminal elements within the EMPD went far beyond the association with alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Matlala, but allegedly extended to crimes such as extortion, kidnapping, theft, and even murder. The Commission heard that a group of EMPD officials and civilians, allegedly under the command of Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, committed a spate of crimes under the guise of legitimate operations. The worst act on the long list of alleged crimes was the alleged tubing of an individual until he died.
What was alleged is that they tortured this person on the scene, where they used a method called tubing, which is a piece of rubber that you pulled over a person's face and you suffocate the person. So they tubed this person, and at a stage the actual the person who he has actually turned state witness. He submitted a 204 application and statement as well. He said that the person who they were torturing and in questioning or interrogating, he actually had said to them, but he's got money in the house, 500,000 rand, he'll pay that if he could lose them. And then the next moment, this person, they killed him. And from the scene, they called Brigadier Mkhwanazi after it took place now. And Brigadier Mkhwanazi arrived on the scene in a white Golf. And he then proceeded to direct them how to clean the scene.
This evidence was bolstered by an in-camera witness termed Witness D, who was part of the so-called operation that led to a murder. Witness D, in his testimony, detailed how the men who are mandated to protect and serve allegedly casually took the life of an individual through the torture method of tubing, and how Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi allegedly arrived at the scene and guided the members on how to clean it up, which included allegedly tasking Witness D with the duty of disposing of the body.
Shortly afterwards, they returned to where we were. JD Mkhwanazi said that we needed to throw the suspect's body into a mine shaft or dump it into a dam. As he said this, he looked at me. Viandre then in turn informed me that I must take the body and dump it. They will show me where and that I should relax. Since my vehicle is marked, Viandre said it won't attract any attention. I was directed by Viandre at this stage where to park my bakkie next to the front door. That is as you're coming from the main gate. I was escorted to my vehicle by 2 EMPD members and told where to park it. Jaco essentially broke the gate to allow my vehicle entry into the property. I parked my vehicle at the designated spot and walked towards the main gate, where I remained until they were finished.
Before you continue, Witness D, apologies, before you continue, you say that when Chief Superintendent Mkhwanazi said that the body should be thrown into a mine shaft or dumped into a dam,
yes.
you make the point of stating that when he said that, he looked at you. What did you interpret that to mean?
Commissioners, it was quite clear at this stage that it was expected from me to dispose of the deceased body. And as I said, it's especially after the meeting took place between themselves, it was quite clear that they decided between themselves that I'm the one that's supposed to dispose of the body.
And did you so agree?
I really didn't have a chance to agree. I felt like I was being forced.
To unpack this shocking evidence, we are joined by retired Interpol Ambassador Andy Mashaile, who's joining us in studio. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Quite shocking about these extrajudicial killings that are being alleged on behalf of this EMPD group, together with some form of civilians. Are you surprised, though, by some of these allegations?
Blood-curdling. I'm not surprised, given the nature set of details and allegations that are coming through, and the evidence that's coming through corroborates what Madlanga Mkhwanazi spoke about, and it's coming into shot minute by minute, day by day. This is very shocking. This must not be allowed to go on in our country.
Mm-hmm. It seems from that particular incident of the alleged murder that is being described, they headed over there under the guise of an operation, but it seems that alleged private security officers who had been quote-unquote legitimized by a letter given to them allegedly by Brigadier Mkhwanazi and signed by him, joined that operation, and I think that is where it became clear that these were part of a spate of incidents that were targeting various shop owners, businessmen, etc., for their own criminal benefits.
And organized crime syndicates. If we were in other parts of the world, they would be saying this is a transnational organized crime syndicate. The modus operandi specifically, Kenny, shows you and tells you that this is an organized crime syndicate that deals specifically with the issues that have been raised by yourselves and the testimony of witness D. People might not have seen it coming, but it has been happening all over the time and all over the show. Remember a few weeks ago, some EMPD police officers were arrested somewhere in the West End, if you remember that story, on the pretext of collecting a car that was stolen and many of those things. And the local policing precinct in that area went over, pointed firearms, arrested the guys, locked them up for a weekend. So this tells you there might be a replica pattern all over the province and all over the country. Let's stick specifically to Gauteng.
Do you suspect that this particular group that allegedly rides with the civilians in the form of private security are still operating within the Ekurhuleni region?
I suspect that they still operate. Some of them would operate under the pretext of an organization that I led some many years ago, your Community Policing Forum. You'd see stickers on cars, and when you talk to the people with the stickers of the CPF, you realize that this person might have bought this sticker somewhere else, not knowing them and the code of conduct, the operations, what the act says, the regulations. I am certain that those who are pretending or who are claiming to be members of the CPFs, some of them and not all, some of them are still operating and joining forces with rogue police officers.
And speaking of this alleged element, this rogue element or this rogue group that is being described within the EMPD, it seems that some of these incidents that are quite separated were being investigated by IPID, but we hear through evidence that these investigations were stagnant in that particular probe, especially with EMPD. How much responsibility should be attributed to IPID on their perceived or alleged inaction with respect to how this particular group, alleged group, was able to thrive for so long within the Ekurhuleni region?
Kenny, long story short, those who are responsible for flopping or flopped investigations of crimes that were committed, clear crimes that were committed, needs to be hauled over the coals. Those who had the case dockets with them and didn't do anything, IPID must discipline them. And for defeating the ends of justice, some criminal cases needs to be set up for those investigators from IPID who didn't do what the law says that they should do. Maybe they have a better explanation that they will share with Madlanga and the rest of the processes, including the ad hoc committee.
And I know you've said that in your time, during your tenure, there were several incidents like this where cops were found guilty of this particular conduct. You were able to flush them out of the system. But since you have retired, you've seen that some of these cops have been able to come back into the policing system and are back on operations and back on duty. How does this happen?
Kenny, some police officers who were convicted of murder would appeal their sentences, and the appeal would find itself on a very long extended trajectory. That's why you would find that some of those officers are still wearing uniform and they're still doing their job as if nothing is happening. So this says to both you and I, there's systemic weakness that allows some of those convicted for various crimes, including murder, as per the research that has been done and the research that some of us conducted over many years ago. So we have a responsibility to request and to ask those who are the higher-ups to ensure that those police officers in the blue uniform, in the brown uniform, those who are convicted and those who are still on appeal, outside of your incarceration processes or your correctional services space, People need to ask, people need to know, and the higher-ups need to explain. The higher-ups in this case would be national leadership, provincial leadership. If it's at a precinct or at a regional level, that needs to be followed up so that you don't find yourself in this kind of a situation that has led to the thriving of organized syndicates.
We've seen that the Ekurhuleni city has issued a statement saying that they've now suspended the acting EMPD police chief, that is Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. But we know that this incident that we are speaking about allegedly took place in 2022. This means that his suspension was lifted and he was able to come back to work and continue with his duties as the acting, I guess, head of the EMPD. Should we take this latest stint by the city seriously?
Kenny, no. If it has now come to light that you have been involved in criminality, I am sure the city has a responsibility, one, to suspend you, two, to refer for criminal prosecution. And the criminal prosecution would then lead us, at the end of that process, would then lead us to a base, a pack, or a bag of confidence that would be shared amongst the community, the people of South Africa and the people of the province, and especially the people of that area, Ekurhuleni. But when you fuss up the processes, you are now creating a further deficit, a trust deficit that the people of this country has with regard to the police, be them in the blue uniform or the brown uniform.
Andy Mashaile, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That was Andy unpacking the alleged rot within the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. We will continue to unpack some of these alleged crimes by this unit associated with alleged rogue elements, which include the hijacking of trucks. You do not want to miss this after the break.
Do you want to feel protected like royalty? Clientele Legal's nationwide team of professional lawyers will protect you in civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Clientele Legal is ready to protect your legal rights at an affordable price. Our dedicated legal team are standing by 24 hours a day to protect you and your family. SMS advice to 48523 and we'll call you back.
Hi, I'm Atandwa Kani. I've been traveling Africa, seeing firsthand the impact Standard Bank and its clients are having on the lives of so many people across the continent. This time, I'm excited to be in South Africa, my home, to discover how a landmark digital infrastructure deal, where Telkom sold over 4,000 SwiftNet communication towers to an Actis-led consortium, is transforming the country's connectivity landscape, opening up new opportunities for businesses and expanding coverage. Some communities will experience the internet for the first time. It's going to be incredible. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
The long list of crimes placed before the Commission also included the modus operandi that targeted trucks. What was suggested in the hearings is that instead of fighting crime by intercepting these hijackings, this group was allegedly the perpetrators of such crimes, as it appears that they would allegedly offer the load back to the truck owner in exchange for money.
There would be truck hijackings, and then this group will always find the horse, the front of the truck. They will find the horse back and it will be a very good success, but the freight or the load and the trailer will always be missing. And he then went through that list to say, but there's a modus operandi where a group of police officers will then take the load and offer it back to the owner at via burner phones, and they will actually offer this back and then get paid, and then the owner will receive a PIN and he will get his load and things back. So they were explaining all of these crimes to us.
Now, to unpack this evidence, we are joined by John Reed, not his real name because we are protecting his identity, who has greater detail on these alleged operations. John, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. All right, John, are you with us? It seems that we don't have John Reed with us on the line. However, that brings us to the end of this track portion of the evidence. And of course, we expect that while Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi has since been placed on suspension to date, none of these officers and civilians that form part of this group have been punished or held accountable for their crimes. It seems as we are about to wrap up, we have John Reed back again on the line. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you so much for joining us. Are you familiar with this trend of hijackings that are allegedly staged, or the officials participate in this alleged criminality by recovering the vehicle and selling it back to the owner in the Ekurhuleni region?
Thanks so much to begin with for this interview. Yeah, I would say I am very much familiar in the way of such trends. Though the dynamics change, I'm quite aware of what has been happening. It's not only in the Ekurhuleni region; it's also in Tshwane. It's prevalent in Tshwane as well, starting from the corridor from a Maskral area.
Indeed, and
So
we're hearing. You may continue, John.
It also involves members from Tshwane Metro as well.
Indeed, we're hearing that these officials team up with civilians to conduct these operations. So what is being suggested is that private security firms were able to join these operations and were allegedly legitimized by Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi with letters and would show up with the official vehicles in order to conduct these alleged crimes.
There has been, it's true, there has been instances where private security has been used by Metro and I believe by the member that is mentioned from EMPD. They've been used to conduct such operations. At times, yes, to extent of where the wrongdoing is there.
And when these trucks or the freight is brought back to these individuals, John, how much are they able to solicit from the victims of these alleged crimes?
To my understanding, there are twofold. There are two groups of private security companies that are doing the coverage. There are groups that are doing the wrong things, and there are groups that agree with a client. Before they even engage, they would agree with a client for a certain fee, a recovery fee. Then there are those groups where they go and recover, then without the client's agreement, they now start demanding. It's extortion in nature, I would agree. It's extortion in nature. Some of these fees are quite exorbitant because they go as far as 20% of the value of what is recovered.
And if you had to monetize that, sorry to interrupt you, John, if you had to monetize that, how much are these victims being forced to pay in order to get their freight back?
There are some victims that have gone to pay to an extent of, depends with the cargo. Some of the victims that have paid have gone to pay to maybe 400,000 or 500,000 in some of these. But like I said, there are also clients that engage with some good role players. They engage them and ask them to go and recover. In my case, when I've been a victim, that's what I've done. I've gone to engage private security where I've discussed with them, agreed, go and look for my things. When they find them, they recover, then we pay them because they've invested in intelligence. You know, they've got their sources, their informants. They've also got technologically, they are much more advanced. So they cover up the gap that SAPS has left a void. Because in most instances, you find private security arrive at the scene much more quicker than SAPS. But we've got the bad elements. In this case, some of them that have made it a living, it's extortion in nature where before you even agree with a client, you go and do recoveries, then the client comes to take his stock, just tell them, no, we are not going to release it before you pay us this. And that's where some of those wrong things that people have been mentioning have happened, which I think they need to be corrected. In myself, I've been extorted in nature, not by private security, but I was extorted, I think it was in 2020. I had to pay to go and collect my items that was recovered in breaks. I had to pay a senior official, a captain from SAPS, for him to tell me where they had recovered. He refused to give me the location until I had to pay him money. That's when he gave me a location. So it's something that is quite serious. It's happening there. There are a lot of people that are falling victim that are paying money that they shouldn't have because they are not in an agreement with whoever is doing these recoveries. So in that is extortion in nature.
Lastly, for these trucks that we know frequent that particular region all the time, for them to enjoy that route without any of these interruptions or alleged extortion cases, are there protection fees being paid allegedly towards these officials to ensure that it's a smooth journey throughout that region?
There are some transporters that have resorted to it. Some of these people, they know the criminals. They are members of the police fraternity, of the private security industry that know these criminals very well. Some transporters have gone to extremes of paying protection fees to some members to go and tell these criminal rings not to attack their trucks.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for your time, John Reid. That is one of the victims of these alleged truck hijackings that have been placed before the Madlanga Commission that directly implicates alleged officers of the EMPD and civilians that operate within these private security firms. You've heard him stating that some of these truck owners have had to pay up to 500,000 rands in order to recover their freight that has been taken or intercepted in these hijackings that are believed to be staged and part of a bigger organized crime syndicate within the Ekurhuleni region. Now, while Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi has since been placed on suspension, to date, none of these officers and civilians that form part of a group within the EMPD that allegedly unleashed a world of hurt against anyone who stood in the way of their alleged criminal ambitions have not been arrested for the alleged crimes which allegedly extend to murder. In turn, the lives of Rivo Spies, Jabulani Isaac Mapiyeye, Xolani Nziza and Kilebohile Tepa have been visibly altered, with the lasting wounds continuing to linger. The Commission has closed its chapter on the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department and is expected to introduce a new stream of evidence tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Join us again next week, Sunday at 5 p.m. as we unpack the next wave of allegations to hit the probe.